Hi everyone, in this video we're going to solve a new problem. The problem name is minimize deviation in array and the problem number is 1675. Alright, so first of all we're going to clearly understand what this problem says. After that we're going to move to the logic part and after that we're going to implement our logic in C++, Java and Python programming language. Alright, so now let's see what this problem says. You are given an array num of n positive integer. That means all the values inside of my num array will be going to be positive, right? Okay, you can perform two type of operations on any element of the array any number of times. So guys, here we are given the array, right? And we can perform some operation. There are two type of operations and any number of time, right? So what are these two operations? If the element is even, divide it by 2. So in this array you can see 2 and 4 are even, so we can divide it by 2. We can make 2, we can divide it by 2, this 2 value, and we are going to get 1. If we divide this 4 by 2, then we are going to get 2, right? So we can make a number, we can change the number by dividing by 2 if the number is, we can say, even, right? Now, if the number is odd, then what you can do? You can multiply it by 2. So if you can see 1 and 3 are odd, right? So we can make 1 to 2 by multiply it by 2. We can make 6 by multiply 3 by 2, right? So all right, so we can do these two type of operation. Now guys, it says that the deviation of the array is going to be maximum difference between any two element in the array. So you guys can see that the deviation, it's gonna say that the maximum value from your array and the minimum value from your array. And the difference between these two values is gonna be the deviation. So we can say maximum minus minimum from your array is going to be your deviation. I hope this much makes sense. Now guys, return the minimum deviation the array can have after performing some number of operations. So we have to find the minimum possible deviation from an array after performing this sum operation, right? So alright, so now let's understand this example, this problem by using this example one. So I'm going to take this example one, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fine. So now guys, you can see that the maximum, we can say maximum and the minimum, right? So we can say maximum is nothing but 4 right now, right? And the minimum is nothing but 1. So if we do the derivation, if we find the difference, 4 minus 1 is nothing but 3. So we are getting a 3. Alright, so we are getting now 3, right? But is there any way we can get a minimum possible deviation? So we can say that this 1 is nothing but odd, right? So if it is odd, we can multiply it by 2. So now if we multiply it by 2, so how will it look like? We can say now if we multiply it by 2, so it will gonna look like 2, right? And so now what is the maximum value, possible value? That is 4 still. But the minimum is nothing but 2 now. So if minimum is 2, so now we are going to get a deviation 4 minus 2 is nothing but 2. So now we have improved our deviation, that is nothing but 2. Fine. And still we can do better. So you can see that this is a 4, right? So now can you think about that? If it is an even, then I can divide it by 2, right? So if I divide it by 2, it will become 2. And now my maximum value is nothing but 3 and the minimum value is 2. So if we find the deviation, that is now 1. So all right, so we go find out the minimum deviation, minimum possible deviation is nothing but 1, right? So we can't get minimum is still from this one, because if we divide it by 2, because 2 is an 3 is an odd, and we can multiply it, so if we can make it 6. If we make it 6, then it is going to be maximum, and then 6 minus 2 is nothing but 4. And if we divide it by 2 by 1, so we are going to get 3 minus 1, that is 2. So it is clear that we can't make it minimum than this one, right? So we are going to return 1. I have this making sense, right? So we got this number result, and after that we return 1. So now guys, this is the problem. I hope now you understood that what we have to do. So by now I believe that you understood the problem, not a logic part, but you understood the problem clearly, that what this problem says and what we have to do. Now let's see the logic part, how we can solve this particular problem. Fine. So I'm going to write here logic. All right, and I'm going to take the same example. I'm going to take this first example 1, 2, 3, and 4, and let's try to see how we can solve this particular problem. And guys, did you notice that what we got in the last time? We got this 2, 2, 3, and 2, this kind of array, right? After performing two operation, right? So can you think that it is not guaranteed that always we will have a maximum value at the end, right? But we need to find the maximum value every time, right? Is it? So what we can do, we can use a maxi, right? So I'm going to use a maxi, that is clear. First thing is clear that we are going to use a priority queue, that is nothing but maxi. We are going to use a priority queue, which is going to be maxi. Fine. And how we are going to do this? Let's see that. So guys, first of all, I'm going to say in my priority queue, let me write a priority queue, but I'm going to say this is my priority queue. Fine. And first of all, I'm going to say 1. And remember guys, I'm not going to put odd value in my priority queue. I'm going to say if it is an odd, then multiply it by 2 and put in your priority queue. Why it is so? You will get to know, and why I'm putting an even value inside of my priority queue. So if it is a 1, then I'm going to say it is going to be 2. Right? I multiply it by 2, right? If it is 2, that means it is already even, so put it directly. And 3 again odd, so it is going to be 6. And 4, put it directly. So we have this thing priority, right? Now guys, remember here and focus over here as well. So this is going to be main part, right? So now guys, I am going to make a 3 variable, or let's say 2 variable only. So I'm going to say first variable is going to be nothing but deviation, which is going to be a result. All right, and the second variable is going to be minimum, which is I'm going to find from this priority, right? First time only. So minimum is going to be nothing but 2, and the deviation, let's say nothing but maximum value, right? So by default it's going to have a maximum value. Alright, so now let's perform some operation. The first iteration, what we are going to do, we are going to find out the maximum value from our practical, which is going to give us in log of n time complexity, right? So it is going to return us 6, right? So max value is nothing but, we can say 6, alright? And the minimum value, we know that it is nothing but 2, right? Alright, so we have minimum 2. So now guys, what is the deviation? 6 minus 2 is nothing but 4. So I can say that, update my deviation, because it is smaller than my last deviation. So it's going to be 4. Fine. So guys, now next time you can see that nothing but we have pop it, right? So it is not exist in my practical file. So I have popped 6 and I have updated my deviation as well, right? Now guys, we have to insert this 6 values in our practical by dividing it by 2. And you know that we have put all the values are even, right? I have put all the values which is even, right? Because if it is odd, so I multiply it by 2 and I insert it in my practical. Now we know that all the values are even, so I can divide it by 2, because this operation exists that if value is even, then you can divide it by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is nothing but 3, right? So I'm going to insert it back to my practical and I'm going to update minimum as well. So you can see 2 is already minimum than 3. So 2 remain minimum value remains same. Fine. So next iteration I'm going to, this is going to be second iteration. Here again I'm going to find the maximum value from my practical, that is now it's going to return 4, right? Fine. And the minimum value is still 2, right? Okay, so now 4 minus 2 is nothing but deviation. I could say that it is going to be 2, right? 4 minus 2 is 2 and it is smaller than my 4. So I'm going to say deviation is going to be 2. All right. Now the next iteration, before next iteration, I have to put this 4 back into my practical. So I'm going to say 4 divided by 2 is nothing but 2, right? So put 2 inside of your practical and update as well minimum. So minimum of 2 comma 2 is going to be 2 only, right? So I'm not going to update minimum as well again. All right. So now let's move to the third iteration. That is going to be nothing but, we can say, find out the maximum value from your practical, that is nothing but 3, right? So the maximum value is 3 and the minimum value is 2 still. So we're going to say 3 minus 2 is nothing but deviation 1. All right. So I'm going to update my deviation. This is nothing but fine. Now guys, I have to again put this 3 inside my practical. So I have pop it, right? So now I have to put by dividing it 2. But you can see that this is an odd number and we can't divide it by 2 if the number is odd. We can only divide it by 2 if the number is even, right? There are two operations, right? So here, if we can't divide it by 2, we can return our deviation. So that is a simple thing. We're going to return our deviation, return this particular deviation. So for what you have got. So I hope this much, this is part is clear. This is the simple logic. I hope you understood this. We are going to maintaining a maxi and we are going to iterating over there and we are just finding the maximum value from our practical and we are putting them back if the number is even, right? So that was the problem. I hope now you understood this. Now let's move to the implementation part and let's say to implement in Python, C++, Java programming language. So now let's move to the coding part. And here I'm going to first of all do with Python. So guys, first of all, what we have to do, we have to maintain a practical and the minimum value, right? So I'm going to say minimum value is going to be, let's say, by default I'm going to give it a positive value, so I'm going to say infinity and we can say the practical is going to be min heap, sorry, max heap, right? So m heap and I'm going to give it, right, empty right now. All right, so I'm going to traverse over this value, so I'm going to say for value in nums. So let me write nums and here if value more 2 is 0, then it is fine, right? If value more 2 is not equal to 0, then what we can do, we can say guys, you have to multiply it by 2, so value more equal to 2 and then you have to push in your min heap, right? Max heap dot heap push. And here guys, we know that max heap, there is no exit a max heap in Python. So what we can do, we can insert by multiply to minus value, right? So we can say heap q dot heap push m heap and you can multiply it by minus 1 multiply into value and you can push it directly, right? And if it is even, then we can directly push it, right? So we can say heap q dot heap push and m heap, you can say minus 1 into value. So we are doing the same operation, we can do in one line as well. And after that I'm updating my minimum value as well. Minimum value is going to be minimum of min value and this particular value. Fine. So we got two things, minimum value as well as our practical now. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to say first of all find the maximum value. So maximum value is going to be nothing but the maximum value from your practical, right? So we can say maximum value is going to be, let's say, uh, we can pop it from our practical. We can say find out, tell me. So it's going to tell us in big log of n time complexity. So we can say heap dot heap pop. All right, and here you can say just tell me by my min heap, right? And as it is going to return a minus value because we have inserted by multiplied minus 1, so we're going to say minus 1 into this value, right? So now we have maximum value, minimum value. We can say result is also going to be max value minus min value. So this is the one possible answer, right? Now we are going to start our iteration. We are going to say while true, we are going to say true, and the condition is going to be if your value, if your max value is odd, right? We can't divide it by 2, right? If it is odd, if it is not more to equal to 0, then we can say return or we can say break it, right? If our result is 0, that means the max possible result, minimum possible result you can get nothing but 0, right? So if it is result is 0, then you don't need to iterate again, you can break it, right? So we are going to saving some number of iteration only, right? Now guys, what we are going to do, we are going to say, okay, so you have to push what you have to do, you have to push this half value, right? So we can say heap q dot heap push this maximum value divided by 2, because we know now this is even, right? So we can divide it by 2 and we can push it. And we are going to also updating our minimum if it is possible. Minimum value is going to be minimum of min val and max value divided by 2. Now we have maximum value and minimum value, right? Maximum value is going to be heap q dot heap of, and it is going to be a min heap, and I have to push by multiplying it, right? So we have to say that min heap, and here you have to multiply it by -1, because we are making it a max heap, right? By default it is a min heap. So let's we are going to get a minimum value, and we are going to multiply it by -1 to get a maximum value. Now once we got a maximum value, we are going to say result is going to be updated by result should be minimum of result comma max value minus min value. So once we are done with this, we are going to return our result. So I hope this much makes sense. So we have first of all done what, let me summarize this. First of all, we have inserted all the values in our parity queue. All right, and after that we also maintain the minimum value. Okay, now first time we have just took the maximum value from our parity queue and the minimum value, and we have update make our result variable by maximum value minus minimum value, right? After that we have used iterations, and in there we are keep checking if the number is even, or we can say if it is odd, then we can't divide it, so you can simply break it, right? If the number is even, then we can say push in our parity queue and find out maximum value and minimum value also. And once we are find out maximum and minimum value, we are going to update in our result by dividing by subtracting maximum value minus minimum value. If it is smaller than result, update it our result. Otherwise, let keep it same, remain same, right? And once we this iteration, this while loop will over, we're going to return our result. So let's try to run this code, see whether we are getting any error or not. You can see that all the three test cases are passed. So let's try to submit this code. And here we go, guys, right? It's successfully submitted, right? So this was the basic problem. I hope you understood this. Not it is basic, it is a hard level problem. All right. So now let's move to the Java programming language and see how we can solve it. So first of all, what we have to do, we have to maintain a priority queue. So I'm going to say priority queue. So I'm going to make it queue, and here I'm going to give it integer, and here in the name of queue is, let's say I'm going to give a min heap, and here it is going to be new priority queue. All right, and here I'm going to say integer. Well, let's keep it remain, and here guys I have to use a we can say a max heap, right? So we can say collection dot reverse order. All right, so now this is going to give a max heap, right? So once we are done with this, we are going to traverse our own array, and we have to maintain two variable as well, right? As we already seen that. So that is two variable is nothing but we can say first variable is going to be a minimum value, so we can say int min value, which is by default going to be maximum value, so we can say integer dot max value. Fine, and it is one thing is going to be a traversing over this array. Int data is going to be nums, and we are going to say nothing but if data mod 2 is not equal to 0. If it is not equal to 0, what you have to do, you have to say data multiply is equal to 2. All right, and you can insert heap min heap, sorry max heap dot we can say add, we can say data, right? And if it is not the case, then you can simply add the data, so we can say add data. Fine, once you are done with this thing, you are going to also update your minimum value, which is going to be math dot min, and we can here say which is going to be min value, or we can say data, right? Once we are done with this, we are going to find the maximum value, so we can say into maximum value, which is going to be nothing but m heap dot we can say pole, right? So it given us a maximum value. Once we got a maximum value, we can say into result, or we can say deviation, right? So we can say result, which is going to be max value minus min value. Fine, once we got this thing, we are going to start our iteration. We can say while true, so it is going to take a small t true, and here we can say nothing but just first of all check it if your max value is odd, max value mod 2 is, let me add 2. If it is odd, so we can say break it, right? And if result is 0, that means why we need to move ahead, right? We already got a max more best possible answer, right? So we can say break it, right? And if it is not the case, right, if your not max value is also even and your result is not equal to 0, then keep checking, right? So we can say first of all m heap, we can say max heap dot add max value divided by 2, right? We have inserted half value of it, right? And also we have to update our minimum as well. So minimum value is going to be nothing but mat dot min and min value minus, sorry, comma, and max value divided by 2. So once we are done with this, why it's giving a min value as in white color, I don't know. Okay, so now what we are going to do this, we are going to say we have a minimum value, and we are also going to have a maximum value, that is going to be a m heap dot poll. All right, and we are going to say result is going to be math dot min minimum and result comma max value minus fill value. All right, so we are going to do this. Now once we are done this, we are going to return our result, right? So I believe that it should not give any error, so let's try to run this code. You all right, so I got an error, we haven't used a semicolons, right? Okay, now let's try to run this code. So you can see that all the test cases are passed, right? Now let's try to submit this code. And it also got submitted, right? So we have done with two programming language. Now the last one is nothing but C++. So let's move to the C++. Alright, so here first of all we are going to maintain a parity queue. Fine. So let me write a queue. And here it is going to be integer, and let's me give it a name max heap, right? And okay, so I'm going to also maintain int min value, which is going to be maximum value, so int max. Fine. And here I'm going to traverse over my value, so it is a vector, so I can say directly int data nums. And here I can say nothing but if data mode 2 is not equal to 0, right? So what we can do, we can say data multiply 2 equal to 2, and after that we can do in one line only min heap dot, you can say push, you can say data, right? And also you can maintain a min value as a minimum of min value comma data. So let me write data. All right, once we are done with this, we are going to say find out the maximum value into max value, which is going to be nothing but we can say m heap dot top, right? And we can say m heap dot pop. So let me pop it as well. All right, so once we are done with this, what we are going to do, we are going to say the int result, which is going to be max value minus mean value. So after that, what we are going to do, we are going to use our iteration. So we are going to say while true. So you can say here, if max value mod 2 is not equal to 0, that means it is odd. So we can simply break it, right? Fine. If it is result is 0, don't need to move ahead, right? Result is equal to 0, then we got already best possible answer. Fine. If it is not the case, then you have to insert this max heap divided by 2 inside of your parity queue. So we can say m heap dot push. We can say max val divided by 2, and we can also say that min value is going to be updated min value comma, we can say max heap max value divided by 2, and also we can say max value is also going to be m heap dot top, right? So we got a max value min value, and we are going to pop it as a max heap dot pop, right? So we are going to say result is going to be minimum of result comma max heap, oh, sorry, max val, and here we can say minus min val. So once we are done with this, we are going to have our answer. We can say return result. So this is basically code for C++. So now let's try to run this code and see whether we are getting any error or not. And you can see that we definitely got an error. There is not Paul, there is a Pope, right? I'm not using a Java. All right, so now let's see. You can see that all the test cases are passed. So now let's try to submit this code as well. And I believe that this should also got submitted, right? And yes, it also got submitted. So this was the problem. I hope you understood the problem. If you still have any kind of doubt, you can ask in the comment section. I'm always there to help you. And if you learn something new in this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe my channel. Meet you in the next video.